It's just a long lost look in your eyes, brings out a love that I can't disguise. So take me down to the places I've never seen. Oh, don't you try to kill me with kind. It's just your love that's driving me wild. Oh, from the dawn we rise, with the heart we cry, into the light we go, into the light we go. From the darkest night, from the fire inside, into the light we go, into the light we go, into the light we go. It's just a long lost look in your eyes, brings out a love that I can't disguise. Oh, from the dawn we rise, with the heart we cry, to the light we go.
Welcome back, guys. We're taking a look at the replay of game number 3. It was so close for the majority of it, really back and forth, but then one mistake on Afreeca and their macro, they pounce on KT to take the win.
And this was the macro showpiece. This was the game that got me excited, Valdez, and a lot of people at home were looking for the pentakills and things like that. The punishment that Afreeca was able to put onto KT was so large from one major mistake. This was a previous fight where KT were able to trade down a little bit. The ban buff was picked up, but KT picked up 3 kills. It seemed like it would be stable from there. We did not know the game was just about to end, but the lust for a Cloud Drake, the razor-sharp focus KT had on the Cloud Drake when they were out of position to rotate in mid lane was punished in just the biggest way. Look at this engage. Tucson wins the game entirely going in. This was medium risk, higher reward in full display. One smart move when KT got too greedy for a Cloud Drake, ended the game for Afreeca Freecs.
You take a look at Tucson's champion pool, you see Braum is his most played, and you see Rakana's undefeated, and you wonder why he picks Alistair into these matchups. That's the reason right there. You can get the highlight reel multiple times over, and he's gonna win it time and time and again. It's not just their macro. Tucson is playing like a god this series.
And they were able to keep the bot lane turret up for so long that Kai'Sa was actually relevant when they came to that fight. Look at the gold graph. It was even until the point where the game was won. There was no gold in it. It wasn't a gold lead. It wasn't a snowball. It was macro excellence and a killer instinct. Not the literal one from the Kai'Sa, but actually the headbutt pulverize from the Alistair that won Afreeca Freecs the game.
Yeah. Score comes in for game number 3. Plays the Sejuani. I watched that last fight. He was trying to push everybody away, trying to save Deft and Mata at that point, but it was already too late. They got engaged upon. There was not much he could do. We're going to take a look at the MVP. I think this goes without even saying. I don't even think we need to show this slide, as the obvious choice is going to be Tucson.
Very, very easy MVP. 100% kill participation. Won the game with both his headbutt pulverizers that were of note this game.
Yeah,
Tucson obviously feeling mad about not being the regular season MVP.
Yeah. The red, it's kung kwang, and that's the sound of the headbutt and the pulverize right in a row. So
Bit of onomatopoeia.
yeah, and at the top it's just like, well, you ban my Rakan, so I'll just bring out the Alistair. There's nothing you can do against me. And honestly, you know, showing all the bans that we've seen up against the 80 carry pool, Kramer seems to just roll with the punches and be fine. You might want to start targeting Tucson out here in game number 4.
And do we have any new roster changes is the big question. We actually have no idea about this one. I haven't checked any of my information channels, so I don't know if we're going to see any changes from KT. Argument to bring in Rush, argument to do a lot of different things, even blue or red side choice, which is for KT in game number 4, will be scrutinized. There is Tucson looking at the screen. We saw him as we were walking around, gave him a pat on the back, and we're like, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, he seemed hyper-focused, though. He
These
was
have
just
been
like, okay.
These have been our 2 best support players on performance this season. Gorilla has been good, but
Yeah.
Mata and Tucson have been better. Mata's Thresh, does that come out for this game 4? Backs against the wall here for the side of KT Rolster. Doesn't seem like there's going to be any changes. Kramer smiles. this is what it's all about. This could potentially be the game that sends Afreeca Freecs to Busan.
Certainly could be. Let's jump into game number 4, pick and ban right now. Well, here we go. KT gonna choose the blue side here for game number 4. They're gonna go ahead and ban Skarner this time around.
3 games in a row, we have seen the blue side chosen. Only Afreeca have been able to win, as we see Trundle ban on blue side as well.
They're like, we're gonna pick Olaf. What are you gonna do?
They're also saying, well, banning out this Kramer guy didn't work. Let's find someone else to try to beat up, and it's gonna be Mowgli, who of course played a lot less games this season than Spirit, but has still played a pretty decent amount. I think it's around 12 games that he's played so far in the spring season. So 2 bans so far into the jungle. Like you say, big sign that Olaf first pick is coming. Will probably be at a pretty significant cost, and this is an interesting ban. You think to the previous game, you're like, what champion would I want to adjust? Adjusting the Kalista, sorry, not the Kalista, that's in my mind for some reason. The Karma is the choice they make. They ban away Karma, they do draw an Olaf ban, but they don't want Kuro to be able to neutralize something like the Taliyah, and so far Kuro hasn't shown priority on the Taliyah. That does mean that both Xayah and Rakan are up, and I think we're going to get star-crossed lovers, because why wouldn't Tucson go back to the Rakan?
Why not is the question. I mentioned you might want to go ahead and ban out Tucson, but I suppose the answer is no, we're not going to, as they just go ahead and ban everything else. We're looking at a Caitlyn here, and that is going to be locked in this time around for Kramer.
Will they prize the Xayah, the Rakan, and deny the Xayah Rakan? Because Caitlyn would be a bit more lane presence, and it would also be a bit more latitude to take the Rakan support. You'd have to do it now, but then the jungle pool starts to get narrow as well, so jungle or support is kind of the conundrum you have here if you're Mowgli, and it seems like they decide to go for the jungle pick over the potential to lock in the Rakan away, and this is a big denial away from Tucson not taking the Rakan. He is a power Rakan player. Does mean that score is down for junglers on a patch where a lot of people prefer other choices. The Gragas is up here and would be a very stable choice into the Sejuani. Score played it in the last series. Will we see something like Rakan Gragas from KT?
Rakan is obvious, but what's going to be the answer in the jungle? As you mentioned before, already the Skarner taken away. They're not even going to pick it just yet. They're going to let more bans flow through. They pick up Taliyah again for UCount.
Means that mid lane pick could be decided here, but will we just see the choice from the West? We will. Morgana support going to come out. Really big pick in the NALCS especially, because Rakan is all about flash into the quickness and then layering it into the grand entrance and the back shield and this aura of it. So it is a very nice laning. It's also double ranged in a more pronounced way than Rakan is a ranged champion. And there's been Xayah Rakan Nurse as recently. So we're on patch 8.6. So there is a lot of reasons why Afreeca will be pretty happy with the Caitlyn Morgana into the Xayah Rakan. Don't see any more jungle bans so far, as the Gnar is actually going to be banned away. Smab will be forced to blind pick his top laner in this game, most likely.
Yeah, looking that way. Lots of mid lane bans bound to come through, as still the pool is quite wide. Want to take away that big power pick in the Azir first. Could go ahead and ban something else for the top lane, perhaps, if you're looking about targeting Keen. And there it is, the GP comes through.
But look to a Zac pick if Score wants to lose a bit of lane presence and just go for the Zac and power farm up. But Zac and Gragas are the big junglers I'm thinking of when I look onto the blue side. On the red side, we're looking for solo laners for the side of Afreeca Freecs, a safe choice for mid or bot lane. Now notice there is one safe choice removed. Is they're hovering.
Really?
They're doing it. Kuro's going on to potentially the Yasuo or Keen. All right, we're getting Yasuo. This is something that Faker has been practicing. A lot of people have been practicing, and a straight up Yasuo.
The Yasuo, unbelievable. It's so good. Into the Taliyah, but also Conqueror comes in. Another fantastic rune for Yasuo. It gains so much power. They bring it out the second trump card here for Afreeca.
Really good against the Explosive Cask is the win wall as well from the Yasuo. So we're getting a lot of value out of this effectively Yasuo pick that could be top or mid lane. It's a flex pick Yasuo. Very interesting. KT are going to definitely be surprised to see this from the side of Afreeca. They're going to go for some pretty safe choices. looking for a top laner, may just return to the Shen they did not get any value out of in game number 3.
You mentioned that flex pick could certainly go up against the Shen, but I love it against the Taliyah. It just makes a fool of that Taliyah if you're looking to win the lane.
They're looking to win all the lanes, Valdez. They're going for 3
like
winning lanes in a couple of different ways. What will they eventually settle on? They could have gone super lane focused and gone for the Fiora. They'll rein it in a little bit. They seem to be happy with the Orin. So Orin versus Shen, a true tank matchup where Orin will have the pushing power before Titanic Hydra is complete. But Yasuo mid lane is brought back by Kuro. It's a different way to approach the Taliyah. There was no Cassiopeia ban. That's a big pick in other regions. We just get a Yasuo, and we get Kuro looking to flex and also pick up an MVP in the postseason. Look at the coaches here saying...
He's getting a massage there in the booth right before the games start.
You've got 3 coaches saying, well, you wanted it, you got it, and we got some Yasuo in the LCK playoffs.
Receiving a bit of a beating before the games start here, saying, don't receive that same beating in the game. And we already see so much Conqueror Yasuo in solo queue. After this game, if it finds success, we might see it every game.
Could be press the attack also. I think Conqueror, because you might be side laning against a Shen at some points, could be smart. I think Conqueror is more likely, but press the attack is what we saw from FLICKR and other people in solo queues. So it's situational, which rune we see. But man, the Windwall can also get massive value. And you as our resident Taliyah expert on this 2-man cast know that hitting a skill shot onto a Yasuo is very frustrating. Now, early game, Score can also set up a tent mid lane, and you can also make the Yasuo chain feed. That is also an eventuality when it's Yasuo in the game.
There's so much outplay potential, too. You mentioned how it's good against the explosive cask as well. You could try to go 1v2 at times. Mowgli shows up a little bit later, maybe even a roam from Keen. The Orin certainly helps out from a separate lane. Either way, guys, a really exciting game number 4 draft. Should make an exciting game. Let's jump into it right away. Here we go, guys. If you're joining us late, that is definitely the Conquer Yasuo in the mid lane. Decides against the press the attack. Takes the ignite. The recent buffs as well make this just even more obnoxious. And
look at this,
annoying.
A bit of extra zoom here for the style choice in the Yasuo mid lane.
So good.
Kuro's has played 6 games of Yasuo, 5-1. It's actually one of the picks that has worked well for him. Kuro has been always a player that picks up stuff really fast, but clearly we know after the first or second game, is it a Kuro champion or is it not? And Yasuo was one of those many moons ago. I remember watching the 1,000 kill video that OGN made about Kuro to celebrate 1,000 kills, and he made it very clear that his Yasuo was something he felt was forgotten, but something that he could bring back at any moment. We see the return of the Yasuo. Kuro, when it comes to players to prepare for, we've watched his solo queue, and actually, he's very heavily hiding his picks. He doesn't play on his main. Even other accounts that are rumored to be Kuro, he's not playing a lot on. So knowing what he's playing at any time is difficult, and in a clutch game, in a game where if they win, they go to the final, he brings out the Yasuo.
He had his pick of the litter, too. KT taking a little risk before this, picking the Taliyah into Kuro's LeBlanc even. That was open. It wasn't banned this time around for the first time in this series, but instead he decides to bring out this pick. It means a lot. You talked about hiding picks. He must have 20, 30-plus games on this to actually get the go-ahead to play this.
And let's see what happens bot lane, because we saw level 1 going into the Tormented Soil as Kuro takes a couple of bad trains on the back end. We could just see W Max Morgana. It's something that we saw BBQ run with Ghost and Ignite, just push with the Caitlyn Morgana and actually maxing Tormented Soil and not just into the Dark Binding like you would expect. So we'll see if that is just the plan. You have so little engage possibility because of the Black Shield when you're a Rakan. This should be a much more comfortable laning phase for Kramer on the Caitlyn, and Kramer hasn't been one of our better Caitlyn players. Afreeca have actually struggled on the pick.
Mata being so aggressive on the Rakan on the bottom side finally gets hit by the Morgana Q. And we're having an early roam down here from Score, getting the call from Mata, no doubt. There's no ward in this brush just yet. Wants to set this up.
Not spotted, of course. Ah, good
Oh,
lord.
boy.
Very smart from Tucson.
The timing on that one.
The only aggressive vision they had was the Raptor cam, but they had enough information from there. There was actually no forward vision at all from Afreeca, so very nicely intuited. Not going to be any lane gank, going to be successful. Yasuo backs away. Hey, he's up in CS, even if he's taken some bad trades in the mid lane. He'll keep pushing through, and here are your Yasuo runes. In case you wanted it home, Chrysalis is taken in the Resolve tree and the bone plating on patch 8.6. Presence of mind, okay. That's are we sure about this?
That's actually a graphical issue.
Yes, it is actually a graphical issue.
Not a fourth secondary rune taken there, unfortunately.
Whew. All right. All right.
Or I should say, fortunately. You definitely want the Conqueror instead of that one. It's so uncommon that they don't even have it, so they just use a different
Conqueror is new,
graphic.
it's true. We're beta testing here. Sorry, guys. Spo TV sometimes.
Yeah, rune issue, I suppose.
Monopoles.
Yeah. It's a quick one. Smeb gets away from the gank. Mowgli a little bit far ahead on score, as score was, of course, going for a little bit of a cheeky early gank in the bottom side.
Such a different approach here from Kuro, who went the Karma, which was a utility pick for the Kai'Sa, but also stopped the Rones coming from it. Look at this. He didn't go Presence of Mind. Amazing. Very standard aggressive rune page here from Kuro, largely for killing squishies. We'd love to kill a mid laner. If we're looking for knock-up synergy, the Q from Mowgli, that's going to be there. Of course, Keen has an AoE knock-up as well, and those are the big knock-up synergies that Afreeca are able to send through.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about different picks for Keen in the top side, and certainly the Ornn helps facilitate the Yasuo overall, more so than a Vlad, who doesn't have a knock-up.
And it's another pick that he hasn't played much. It's only one game in the regular season on Ornn. No surprise that Keen can play the Ornn. But this series started off with him looking like the inferior Smeb when it came to the ability to play those skill matchups. He's turned it on the last two games, being a lot more stable. And Ornn is the epitome of stability in topside. That was an unintentional rhyme. But it is something that you can pick and should be very, very competitive. No solo kills expected for Smeb in this matchup.
Going to be pretty even up on the top side. And both of these junglers have been hanging around the bottom side. Certainly the pick potential with Caitlyn Morgana makes it very enticing to try to go for a gank when you also have all that CC on Sejuani. If you catch anyone, you should be able to CC them to death.
Already the laning phase looking a lot better for Afreeca on this Caitlyn. A lot of our top teams have really struggled to wield the Caitlyn in the sort of fashion that justifies the first pick status we see for Caitlyn in the EU LCS and other regions around the world. Sin Bang, for example, just kind of lose lane on the Caitlyn. Kramer and Ruler have both lost lane on the Caitlyn. Usually it's about smart bot side macro where you walk up, you win the 2v2, and you take those pot shots on the turret, doing your best impression of Uzi in full flight, trying to, at all moments, both punish the laners and the turret as the Caitlyn, and so far so good. Don't have the confirmation on what Tucson is maxing, but very much could be the tormented soil for the push.
We've seen Tucson pop off on Rakan. We've seen him do it on Alistar, even Braum at times, but don't really have too many highlight plays of his Morgana. I'm curious to see how he can reinvent this champion before our very eyes. No doubt that he can do it.
No Gragas buffs on patch 8.6 and 8.7. Those AP buffs are gone in, which might actually see a bit of Runic Echo Gragas come back. Still probably going to be full tank from there, but this one's going to be Cinderhulk, and it's just Gragas for the cask largely, and the engage potential. We mentioned the gank potential on Yasuo early, and honestly at all stages of mid lane. He's a very gankable champion. That hasn't happened so far this game, and Kuro going blow for blow with the Taliyah. It's pretty happy times for Afreeca.
Yeah. Mentioned how the Yasuo is good into the Taliyah. Certainly okay. Def going to be locked up here. That's kind of a max range too. Going to eat that. Pretty unfortunate. He was looking very, very frustrated in the booth after game number 3. Of course, getting caught by Tucson's fantastic engage. We'll see if he can kind of pop back into his, get his mental back into his head.
And it's definitely something we have to share with the viewers. It wasn't caught on camera, but like you say, looked very despondent during the games. He stayed in the booth, was getting a couple of words from the coaches. That is, what you expect with Deft. He's always been a very emotional player. but definitely needs to keep that in check as we are now backs against the wall for KT Rolster.
Taking another look at the Yasuo. Early game should go over to the Talia with her pushing power and her poke power, but you can already see the Seeker's arm guard coming on to UCal. Definitely necessary. You do not want to be all in against that Yasuo. You need that extra armor just to stay alive. Especially as the game goes on, the Yasuo builds up some items.
A lot of outplay potential with the champions he's facing for this Yasuo as well. So the Yasuo that could rip through a team fight later on. Obviously, very, very strong at dodging skill shots because of his kit. Game pace has been slowed down. No turret yet claimed by Afreeca, but a lot of returns to bot side is what we expect. It's going to be the Q-Max, so very much going for the picks here. Trying to land those Dark Bindings rather than the Tormented Soil Max I was referencing that we saw from Ignar on BBQ.
Bit of a mix-up here. Looking to lock them down as much as possible to help out the Caitlyn and all that good stuff. Score now on a ward means that Afreeca is going to back off here and going to be safe against any ganks.
Does feel like KT once again are trying to play around timings. They have a much better roaming team. They still have Stand United and the Weaver's Wall from the mid side. You need to be picking up those Drakes. Not going to be as early as with an Olaf. They start this one off. Let's see how much we see is instant engage.
Bada looking to get on top of Mowgli, but he gets away. So much use to try to get that kill. And now KT, they're all alone in the pit here. No way to get on in there. Not going to dive in just yet is Kuro. Keeping his calm. So many knockouts, but no kill just yet. Bada finally does go down. Nice auto there from Kramer to take him down. The spike fight going to come in. Is going to go over to score here, but so many low members of KT. There it is. That's the double kill onto him, and now UCal goes down. Make it 4 as an ace comes down against KT, and Kuro gets 2 kills on the Yasuo. An insta sweep, and Afreeca run away with it.
And there's the big smiles. The last breath rips through the team of KT. They're going to be able to push up mid. It's a 3-kill Yasuo, and that's that sinking feeling if you're a KT fan.
Unbelievable the way that goes. They tried to engage onto Mowgli. They burned so much. The Weaver's Wall, the engaged flash from Mata, and then they're stuck, and they knew it was coming. There was no way to get away.
You always have to remember the last breath. When we watched the start of the fight, you get out because you still have summoners up, and then Deft is caught in no man's land, has to flash. The fight goes on, and KT, yes, they are able to pick up the Drake, but notice the win wall after the Drake is claimed, and that there's no more escape plans available for KT. They know that this is going to be the Rumble Pit. They know they have to fight, but wait for the knock-up coming through here. It's his own last breath. He facilitates it with the Q and completely dumpsters KT. Massive fight, and all off the back of Kuro's Yasuo.
There was no way to get away. Everybody had blown their flash by that time. There was no way to get out of the pit. They were just lined up perfectly for the Yasuo, who waited for the perfect moment. He still didn't have many items. Waited just until the end of the fight. It truly was the last breath of that Yasuo.
And it's the most obvious metaphor ever. But his swords are daggers through the heart of KT. We saw Deft despondent between the games. They needed a confident early game. They haven't been known as a comeback team. Better in spring 2018, but definitely not their usual style. Come from behind is not in the KT playbook, and Afreeca are already well ahead.
Running away with this one. They get that first blood turret in the bottom side. Sure, KT will trade it back here, but already the Rift Herald and another turret in the top side. When you get aced at 10 minutes, guys, you basically lose. It's hard to come back from it, especially with a 3-0-1 Yasuo. This feels like every Platinum solo queue game I've ever played against the Yasuo that gets ahead. It's going to be so incredibly hard for them. And Afreeca, and Kuro specifically, should be very happy at this moment in time.
And I just love how it also answered the Gragas in many ways, because getting explosive cask value against the Yasuo is really difficult. We did not see any mid lane focus. The team fight went in the absolute best way possible. Definitely a progress moment for the side of Kuro. But now he's got 2 items. He's got a Phantom Dancer, snowballed from the start compared to UCal's nothing. Dark Binding hits, and Mata could just have died.
Now, it was getting very low. Thankfully, had the help of his friends in the river. But now, speaking of friends, Smeb doesn't have very many. They're going to save their stun.
And it's time for a Rocks Tigers battle.
Yeah.
Kuro versus Smeb. I think Kuro's going to win.
Well, he's got a friend here. It's not necessarily fair. Speaking of friends, there's another one coming up as Tucson was making his way. Didn't need it. Just going to give a 4th kill to the Yasuo in the mid lane.
Oh, boy. KT have got to completely throw out their early plan. They have no ability to control the map, and you know, when Yasuo is this far ahead, maybe that means the game's already very, very unlikely to be won for KT. It's not impossible. Yasuo is a champion who is unreliable in fights, but if they construct fights as well as they have in the last 2 games of this series, Afreeca Freecs are going to Busan. Afreeca Freecs are winning their first ever best of 5. This team has never been able to get this far out because they always make the wildcard match, the best of 3, and they always lose 2-0. They are now 2-1 up. They've won a best of 3 even though they're not in one, shooting for that best of 5 victory and their first ever final as a League of Legends organization.
We take a step back. 5,000 gold ahead now is Afreeca. They have a very fed carry champion in the mid lane. Yukal on the Talia, which we praised him for so much, doesn't have much here.
Hits again.
Doesn't have even a single item. Already a completed Phantom Dancer and a BF sword onto Kuro. They wanted to make a play up on the top side. Even that doesn't work, as it looks like it's going to be Afreeca that are continuously making plays, trying to now push down the mid lane turret.
The item lead here on the carries is so large. Look at mid lane and AD carry. Essence Reaver into most of an IE and Static Shiv. The mid laner, we don't even talk about that, it's disgusting. Not rated for this particular stream. And top lane.
Oh no, he got caught on a trap. Is it gonna matter in the end? It doesn't look like it. The TP comes in.
Wait for Yasuo, he's still coming.
Def gonna be stunned up once again, getting incredibly low. Here comes Mowgli from the backside. The ultimate is gonna miss, but trying to come in. And finally they do get him. Here's Kuro. And I don't know what to say. KT in a ton of trouble here, trying to go for the desperate play. But now you're gonna get knocked up. There's another kill. A double for this Kuro onto Yasuo. It's now 9-1, and they want even more kills as they're on the chase for Mata. Looks like he should get away, but they're going for desperation. It's not working out, Papa.
It definitely is early desperation after that ace. This is KT, unfortunately, being as KT as possible. The desperation unnecessary. Kuro, so damn strong. Can have Infinity Edge on his next back, you'd imagine. Shelly finds a bit of extra time for another dive in at 200 HP. Doesn't do any real damage. Kuro backs away, but KT just say, well, let's kill some heroes. A short from Mata. This wasn't Def. This started with Mata. Face planting, Sideshow Bob style, onto a trap. And even though we did not have the Yasuo and Sejuani there from the start, KT, with that desperation, are so far out of position. The ult misses from Mowgli, but the moment that Kuro hits the fight, you know it's all over.
Yeah. Just clean up as much as possible. They get 2 more kills on the backside to make it 3. It's just clean up from there, as you mentioned. Infernal Drake to add insult to injury was the second one for Afreeca. Kuro doesn't seem to care at this point in time. Does have the red buff. He's going in. Is going to miss. His turn to fall flat on his face, as perhaps getting a little bit overconfident in this one.
Just Yasuo things in this particular game. Amusing stuff there. Kuro tried to outplay the cask. He wasn't even up for score. He didn't need to use it. They got the kill. Okay. Take a deep breath here. KT say, okay, we got the kill. And I think a lot of what they were doing topside was confidence boosting. It's let's just 4v2 kill some people and feel good about ourselves after losing the ace so early in the game. That's a free pick. That's also a very big bounty going to the side of KT. Doesn't necessarily change the state of the game, but it is a confidence booster for KT, who looked woefully low on confidence in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah. They give that extra gold over to Yukal as well, who finally picks up his Archangel staff here alongside the Seekers. So can finally begin to crawl his way back into some semblance of some items in this game. A resident Yasuo building towards an Infinity Edge, of course.
1,500 gold ahead of his opponent, despite being 7 CS down. That's what 6 kills will do for you in the early game. Anytime Yasuo is ahead in gold, the pain can really come, and it's all about 7 to 10 minutes. A straight-up Phantom Dancer from 4 kills and a bit of farm over the 4-minute passage between 6 and 10 minutes. Meanwhile, Yukal's been doing his best. Notice the tier came at 15 minutes, so the Archangel Shield, which was nerfed on 8.6, is going to be later into the game, less relevant to be calculated in.
Yukal and score I mean, this is what you got to do when you're this far behind, but it's double control war, trying to gank a Yasuo. But perfect read out of Afreeca, out of Kuro and Mowgli, the mid laner in jungle. They're going to find
Kuro's
him
going to
here.
face check anyway. He's Yasuo.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate for him. Trying to turn it around, but with the Shen coming in as well, no way to get on there. And it looks like KT, this is actually going to work out for them. It's now Mowgli with nowhere to go. Smeb just blocking the Arctic Assault, and that's going to be 2 kills to the side of KT.
I like how KT approaching this. They're doing the keep it simple, stupid method, the KISS method of saying, let's just get some picks. Yasuo is going to want to hit a side lane. He's super strong. Let's find him and take him down. And so far, that is definitely the sort of thing. We've all played games, maybe not at the highest level. We've all played games and know how much confidence boosting those 2 kills onto the Yasuo will be. Get the kills, reset. It's not going to arrest the gold lead. It's still massive, but it is going to arrest some of the mentalities. And it's good to see KT still fighting and not just rolling all in and rolling over.
Yeah, it's going to keep Kuro honest, too. When you're 6-0, you feel like you rule the rift. But when you're 6-2, you got caught with your pants down twice. Are you going to push up as aggressively in the side lane? Not really. You have to respect that, even if you are still so far ahead. So it's a good way to also cut down that carry that is super far ahead.
So let's turn it over to Afreeca. What do you do now after you feel your mid laner go down twice? His flash is going to be up soon. Yeah, okay, we've got some sick items. The Infinity Edges are there for both of them. I think actually allowing Kuro to play on the strong side for a bit, where they have a bit of vision control be put down by Tucson and the rest of the team, would be behooved, so he doesn't just face check and die. Yasuo is all about pressure. It's one of the reasons why, if you have a top lane Yasuo, you've all felt that feeling of, well, he's died 5 times, but at least he's pushing. At least he's affecting the map. If your Yasuo is getting pushed in and died 5 times, sorry guys, you're losing your LP for that one. But it's all about creating pressure with the Yasuo, and then the team fighting as the game goes on. And now he's away from all the control wards that KT have set up in the bottom side.
And still playing it very slow. He's not pushing it in very fast. He's just trying to farm up here. Doesn't want to go too far down the river. As I said before, you got to play it safe when you know the entire enemy team is out to get you.
Look at this Yasuo holding the wave. First Yasuo in the history of competitive League of Legends. Or solo queue. Look at this. He's last hitting as Yasuo. This is rarely seen footage. We should definitely have clipped that.
Yeah, get a highlight reel of that one. So that's all the Yasuo players.
That was the most
solo
unlikely
queue.
thing we'd see today, Valdez.
Let's be real. No Yasuo player can watch a video that's over 5 seconds long. So nobody's going to watch it anyway.
They can only see the pentakill montage just instantly with last breath.
Yeah. Well, as we said before, he's still sitting on 2 huge items, right? The Infinity Edge. We mentioned him. We mentioned the Caitlyn, too, who also has her own Infinity Edge. About a half item ahead of Xayah now in this one. And it's going to be Afreeca's turn to make some plays around the Baron. They can certainly put some nice vision down. They're so far ahead, still 5,000 gold at 21 minutes.
But they haven't grown what was a game-winning gold leads. When you saw those 4 kills, you even said basically like, yeah, teams probably don't come back from an ace that early in the game. Those 2 picks mean the gold lead has never grown. It's going to take another proactive play. Weaver's Wall will check this very early. They back away. Afreeca had the sort of gold lead where if those 2 kills didn't come through and they just played logical League of Legends, they win 95% of the time. Suddenly, they've had their lead corralled. It's never grown. And while KT aren't back in the game, they're not out of the game. And that was the most likely outcome of those early kills, especially with KT being a very emotional team.
Yeah. I love the next item coming through for Kuro. We'll see if he finishes it right away, but GA next is certainly a good item for a Yasuo that's ahead. All the really good Yasuos in solo queue do this as well, where you don't really need more damage, you just need more survivability.
Again, after an early ace, the gold lead has gone lower. It's gone towards KT Rolster. It's gone from just over 6,500 gold back to 5,000. That is a massive win when it comes to arresting momentum by KT. Really good to see. And it means the champions who, before that gold lead, had literally no items, now have some items. And you get another couple of fortunate picks, this game could really be back in the balance.
Certainly, especially with the Drake RNG. The second one was Infernal. Fantastic if you've got a Yasuo Caitlyn on your side. Third one, Ocean Drake, certainly the worst here for Afreeca. So they're just going to clear it up as fast as possible. Hope for better RNG for number 4. It's going to be an Infernal, so nicely done for them. Rolling the dice very well tonight.
Gambling illegal in Korea, but you always get your gamble on when you take away one of those ocean drakes and hope something better will emerge. Looking at the gold lead, again, no monstrous lead. The Yasuo is not 3,000 gold ahead of his opponents, only about 1,000 gold ahead. Things are getting more to normalcy. KT have very impressively got back into this game with very low-risk plays. They've gone low-risk, medium reward as a team that's known for high-risk, high-reward basically every time. A whole year of playing no tank comps in 2017 meant they were not able to actually close any of the big ones they would have had on the checklist. They're keeping it together. Kuro hits the side lane again. Doesn't have too much coverage, and they're going all in.
Oh boy, see you later, Yasuo. Somebody report this guy. We'll see if Kuro can get out of it, though. Trying to go 1v4, can't quite do it. And another fantastic setup out of KT. They're trying to make the impossible possible tonight.
They just keep outnumbering around the Yasuo, and this might be Baron to KT. They're certainly going to go try to control the pit. This has been expert stuff at shutting down the Yasuo. Weaver's Wall.
Oh boy, now let's see if Kramer can headshot some people to death. He is going to flash. One more would have done it onto you, Cal, but he's too low now, and he can't really help. Deft runs into a trap, unfortunately has to blow Featherstorm. And okay, KT, they're getting aggressive. They're feeling the waves now, the confidence after 3 kills on the Yasuo, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
It's so amazing, but somehow KT's disappointment instead of their usual excitement in the early game have really squared them up. They're playing much more standard stuff. They get the pick, and then we start face-checking Caitlyn's, and now he might just die.
No Featherstorm, so close to going down there. Unbelievable. Death, though, going to get extremely low, means that, again, with no Featherstorm, he cannot stay here.
Turret easily picked up. They still have the trap line around the Baron. KT were far too willing to face check onto a Caitlyn that had free farm. Has 3 items, and they were walking into her damage. Definitely stay away from the face checking is all I will say. He is, he's been guilty of that too many times in his career. So back away, still overall a good move from KT. Again, the gold lead will never grow past the 5,000 to 6,000 it has been sticking at for the majority of the game. And now we need to see, can Afreeca calm down and actually play around their Yasuo rather than just leaving him to the wolves, sending him to the bot side. At least you could say, well, maybe they'll try and outnumber him bot side and we can rush a Baron. They need to be on the ball to go over Baron if Yasuo is bot side. And if they play top side, they need to be more on the ball in vision control to open up the Yasuo. There's 2 different approaches here from Afreeca. If you do neither, you continue to squander the lead the Yasuo has grown.
Yeah, he's going to be sitting there. That Ignite getting less and less useful as the game goes on, but we'll see if he can actually make plays now that he has his Guardian Angel, and hopefully doesn't get picked off for a 4th time in this game. That would be a hilarious way to go into game number 5, but we'll see if he can get there. He's beginning to settle down. Kramer's getting some unbelievable items and headshots now. The crits are going to be off the chain. Let's see if Afreeca can try not to throw this one. They are still 6,000 gold ahead. We'll see what they can do.
Oh, deep breaths. This game seemed to be over early. It's not. Weaver's Wall just to separate threats, but it's going to be shorted by the Wind Wall. Remember, Wind Wall and also the Unbreakable from Braum are the famous things to interrupt something like the Weaver's Wall. They have that tool available, and getting close to level 18 will be a shorter cooldown on the Wind Wall. Smeb goes for the split push. No teleport on Keen. Afreeca have to start the Baron.
Yep. They do
KT are being real slow.
Damage. Okay, there you go. Should be going down. Mana's going to be the only one to get close, but they're just going to give it away. KT decides to take it slow, but here's Ornn. That Ornn pick is going to be, okay, everybody dodges it there on the backside. And there you go. So the Baron is going to go down to Afreeca. Smeb doing a good job on the bottom side is going to take out that turret at least.
You'd have to hope that KT had given up the Baron, because if not, their check was very, very slow with all the damage that Afreeca have already been able to pile on. You don't normally think about mid lane Yasuo, but damn does he do a lot of damage to neutrals, and can also use the Wind Wall to decrease damage from the Baron as it cannot actually attack through it.
Look at this.
Now we're going Gank Brush.
They're throwing macro to the wind.
I don't think they have the damage to kill him, and they need to kill him twice.
Okay,
always
good read.
Learning.
Good read by Kuro. He's like, I cannot push more than 1 wave.
There was 4 of them there as well.
That was just got a brain in this game, I suppose.
I love the camera angle there. Very dramatic camera angle. We're trying to do a action movie right here. Khan backs away. No harm, no foul. Okay, deep breaths again. Afreeca have the Baron. They also have a pretty oppressive siege, mostly from the zoning of the Ornn ultimate into Caitlyn and her whole kit. Windwall is good for some disengage as well. See where Yasuo is positioned. Could actually be positioned just to stop the Windwall. That's one way you can approach the fights. Caitlyn walks up. Goodbye in a turret.
That Ornn pick just seems to be smarter and smarter the more I look at it. You got two people that are going to pick up the Infinity Edge, two ways to upgrade as well with the Ornn. Kramer now pushing in. Talked about that siege. The Caitlyn famously good for it, but Ornn also helping out. And they'll just continue pushing in. Still 2 minutes on the Baron. Decent amount of wave clear from the side of KT, but see if they can actually fully stop the push here.
Feels like it'll be a story of two walls, the Wind Wall and the Weaver's Wall. I think one of them will answer this particular play around the siege. Yukal on the sidelines looking for a Weaver's Wall. Let's see if it's just blocked. It is. Nicely done. So easy answer, much shorter cooldown. Very nicely used. That was his use. He stood back and said, you will not use the Weaver's Wall behind us to force a fight. That means he had the interruption. Nothing to interrupt this.
Yep, another type of wall comes in, the Call of the Forge God this time around. It's going to wall them off from defending that inhibitor. So with those two plays to just zone them out, they get one inhibitor. Will the push continue for Afreeca with a minute left? It looks like the answer will be no for now. They'll be happy with one inhibitor in the top side. They'll back off, pick up some items, and move towards the Infernal.
A sentence I did not think I would say today is that the Wind Wall has been the trump card to the Weaver's Wall. Think about that statement there. But it is the superior wall in this particular game, much shorter cooldown. Double control ward. This is Afreeca Freecs. Triple control ward and the Yasuo peeling with the Wind Wall. That is what we saw in the siege. Beautifully done by the side of the Afreeca Freecs. And again, you always have the recency bias of watching KT win and be like, man, they smashed SKT. But remember that SKT were a tier behind. You're right in that statement. But SKT were a tier behind. They were 13 game score behind where KT was. They were expected to lose. It was all about the history. History didn't matter. In this series, Afreeca have never won a playoff series. Again, talking about history, it's a different lineup. It's a different time. And their coaching staff is really, really smart. So their preparation, which we did not see in game one, which we did not, as you mentioned, see in that 2-0, including a perfect game, is being seen here.
Super clean, Afreeca. They're trying to prove tonight not only that they can defeat, well, headshot to the face here onto Death.
Death might die.
Featherstorm just to get away from it. Should be another inhibitor. But again, Afreeca, they're trying to prove they can defeat KT, but they also are trying to prove that they can go head-to-head with Kingzone. You talked about tiers. It was Afreeca and KT in the second tier with Kingzone all alone at the top. It didn't really look like there was any big rival, but Afreeca are slowly becoming that team to be the challenger.
And they're boxing with shadows because they also have their own demons. Like we said, 4 playoffs, no game victories, a history that counted against them. They are able to quell those and make the final. If they can be this prepared in 6 days' time, they will force a series out of Kingzone. Beating them, that's difficult, but forcing a series, they seem like they're good enough.
KT once again trying to be a little bit cheesy. They're sending Mata behind, and they want to get into the back line. If they can get a big knock-up onto Kramer when Tucson isn't looking for the Black Shield, certainly that would be one way to try to come ahead in this fight.
Black Shield, Windwall, Kuro's a second support. He might as well be Karma at this point when it comes to sieging. I know that sounds amusing, but that's all he has to do is Windwall, and Kramer does all the work. Kuro's not going to get any autos onto this turret unless the fighting is over. So he's going to walk there to supports, the good old support Yasuo and the support Morgana. They can't quite break through the mid lane inhibitor, but the next Baron spawns in 2 minutes.
You can tell that Smev is trying to do his best to bring his team into the finals. He's taunting his way through traps, sending down the dodge circle, just trying to make sure this siege has as little power as possible. Doing a good job of it now that the Baron buff is down, but here's the Ornn ultimate. Are you going to stand up to it? Finally, the Featherstorm comes in, but an immediate engage. The Shen shield is going to come in and save his life, but everything to zone everybody away. But there's the engage. The Black Shield is on point, and Kramer snipes him in the face. There's way too much room for him to do the damage, but now the frontline Death finally able to trade back a little bit as Mowgli does go too deep, but in the end of it all, a kill for a kill and the inhibitor going down.
And they're not going to go back at all. They're not stopping. Kramer wants to keep pushing. They want some Nexus turrets if they can get them. The end is difficult to pick up, but they know Featherstorm's down.
Yeah. Dev's trying to be the hero. He wants to make up for the mistakes made in the past in this series. Was able to do it, was able to kill Mowgli here. He brings the game into a longer session. It's going to be a hard one. They're down 3 inhibitors and 2 Infernal Drakes, 10,000 gold to Afreeca. We'll see if they can make the impossible happen tonight.
And the Afreeca Freecs, with this performance, whatever happens with the final result, even if they go on to lose, are the best team nobody's talking about. The best team that nobody knows about, because when it comes to big teams from Korea, people know SKT, they know KT, they know the Rocks Tigers, and they know the big names. The only big name on Afreeca is Kuro, and he is the guy that was remembered as the 5th best Rocks Tiger in 2016. His development over the year in 2017 into 2018 has been massive. They have other stars, Tucson, the best support next to Mata this season. Afreeca keep leveling up, and now people are going to have to really remember them.
Mata coming from behind. He wants to be the hero. No Black Shield this time, and they just turn it around. There's Kuro. Going to be able to do the damage. Kramer totally safe in the back line doing that. Kuro getting low, but he's got GA. Keen going a little bit deep here.
He's alone.
On the left side, Deft is still alive, and he's got some room. Will the Ornn go down? He finally does.
Yukal's down.
They get onto Kramer. He's low, but
Super
it's not
minions.
enough. The Super Minions are going to do
That's
it.
it.
There's the ace. Afreeca are going to be your winners. They are going to the finals after the quadra kill that Kramer picks up. They take it in the 3-1 victory. Congratulations to Afreeca. They bring out the Yasuo, and the team play, it makes it work. There you go. Game is over. They're going to the finals.
And what better way for our macro gods to win than the Winions decide the game after they've won the team fight. Kuro embraces his team. Not even Spirit there. Tears in the eyes of their coaching staff. Afreeca Freecs, the deserving winner over KT Rolster, their first ever best of 5, their first victory, their first final as an organization, and the best team no one's talking about. It's time to start shouting, Valdez, because they're in the grand final.
You got to start talking about this team for sure. The one team, it looks like, that actually has a chance up against Kingzone. They proved they're the stronger team tonight over KT. Fantastic macro play. Fantastic mechanical play as well. Kramer popping off on the Caitlyn. Tucson, we've already said so much about that support player. We can only sing his praises from here on out as well.
So many new stars will be blooming on the main stage in the grand final of the LCK. A true squad performance from the side of Afreeca Freecs, and when KT Rolster needed to be held accountable, they made too many mistakes. Game 3, Game 4, heavily outplayed by Afreeca. Rush went 1-1, score went 0-2, had no answer. Mowgli, the unlikely star, actually wins all 3 games that he's fielded for. Kuro gets back to the grand final. There's no tears yet for Afreeca because they know their job is not yet done. And if they are as prepared for Kingzone Dragon X as they were for KT in these 3 games, there could be an amazing series in Busan in just 6 days' time.
There certainly will be. I have no doubt about it. Kingzone, they're going to be watching this, and it shouldn't be with utmost confidence like, hey, we can totally take these guys out. You got to watch this and say, what can we do to take out this really strong team? We actually need to study these guys. They look extremely good.
And it's such a benefit of hindsight because I sat there and said, I will discount the loss to KT because the series meant nothing. Remember that Afreeca also couldn't really play subs because of all the drama around aiming and all their other issues. Their coach had to step back for a while. They've had a lot of off-the-rift issues that have counted against them, and they didn't show much. They lost easily. They were perfect game. How much did that matter today? After game 1, it seemed like a lot. After game 2, 3, and 4, you knew it counted for very little. Their preparation very on point. This was doomed for failure. They were down 3 inhibitors, but KT does what KT always does. They tried to fight. They knew they would lose the tower defense. They go down in the 5v5. They go down to the Winions. A famous moment. Afreeca Freecs, one of the new orgs to join us in an LCK final. The first time org did it in summer season. Longzhu Gaming pulled off the fairy tale. It's a different fairy tale, but still a possible one for the Afreeca Freecs, as Keen in his first best of 5 also leaves with head held high. All 6, you should say, of their players do.
They brought out 2 new picks tonight. The Malphite we saw over in LPL. They make it work up against the Camille. They had an answer for Smeb's Camille up in the top side. Then they bring out the Morgana. They say, okay, we can play Morgana too. And then the Yasuo, another counter pick into Talia that we've been seeing so much. They give it to you, Cal, again, and they counter it.
Great job, SpoTV Games. 24,000
boy.
damage coming through from the Caitlyn. We had a couple of issues with the Keystones and also the Liz, but SpoTV Games, you win, and you know what? For your victory, you get a grand final. We're going to give you the LCK final, picking up this victory.
Nice.
It did level off. Katie did a really good job to keep the Yasuo in check, but eventually they were able to wield the gold lead, and you can hear the crowd embracing some of the players as they walk over. I can see Tucson slowly making his way past so many fans. Tucson was a god in this particular series. Afreeca Freecs, what a big win for them. This perennial 5th or 4th place team will be going to Rift Rivals, will be going to Busan. And we still just don't know how good they are. That's the excitement, is when you're saying the team's preparation is great, you're giving them the benefit of having unlimited champion pools and new counter picks, and they're richly deserving that. The Yasuo came in this series in a must-win game. Afreeca Freecs seem capable of anything.
Let's take a look at the MVP from game number 3. Is going to be Kramer. Had some nice moments on the Caitlyn, really good positioning, sticking behind. Spirit's got his arm around Mowgli as they walk out together, the duo from the jungle of Afreeca, getting a lot of cheers from the crowd. Afreeca had less fans in the studio tonight. It was obvious when you listen to the fan cheers, but they come out the victor. I think this team deserves double the amount of cheers that they were getting earlier on. Certainly, they made a lot of new fans tonight.
People cheer for who they know in Korea, that is winners and that is legacy players. They only really have Kuro when it comes to both. And now they're going to build that legacy. A grand final is a massive achievement for the Afreeca org. They lost Marin, they went with Keen, and the victories, well, they made the right choices.
So guys, we're going to hand it over to Jason to help out with the translation of the interview of our Afreeca Freecs players. So we'll see you guys in just a bit.
기쁘고 감격스러울까요? 이 순간을 성승원 캐스터와 함께 만나보시죠.
Rolster, and these are the MVPs of the game, Tucson and Kramer. So Afreeca Freecs got the last spot for the grand finals in Busan. Congratulations on the win. And you guys made it to the finals. How do you feel? Yeah, we were gonna put all in for the finals. And I'm just really happy that we made it. Well, I saw you hugging your head coach in the gaming booth after the game. How do you feel? Well, it's really happy that I got the MVP for the last game of the regular split. And this is my first MVP interview here, so I'm really nervous. So how do you feel about getting the MVP? Well, I actually didn't expect that because Tucson did really well in the laning phase. So thank you, SpoTV, for giving me the MVP. Well, I have to say, Tucson, you did a really great job today. You have great scores with your Rakan, and you've made great engagements. So how was today's game, Tucson? Well, I always expect my opponents to ban out my Rakan, but they actually did not today, so I felt a little bit confident. Well, we did mention that it is kind of hard for KT Rolster to ban out Alista and both Rakan, so what do you want to say to that? Well, I have to say I have a very large champion pool. And Kramer, how did you feel after losing out the first set? Well, I was really nervous in the game 1. But going into the game 2, I feel more relaxed, so I got my confidence back.
사실 크레이머 하면 어떻게 보면 약간 무소유의 느낌이 강했었는데.
Kramer, and you look really calm nowadays. But at the same time, you become a little bit more competitive. What was the turning point for being so competitive?
그렇게 무소유할 수 있게 가만 놔두지 않기 때문에
네.
저도 이제
Well, I think our teammates wanted me to be a little bit more competitive and want me to be more desiring for the win. So
확실하게 좀 만들어 주셔서
they helped me out to be a little bit more eager for the victory. So I think I've become a better player.
사실상 이번 경기 준비하면서 여러 가지 스트레스도 많이 있었을 것 같아요. 그러니까 특히나 기다리고 있는 팀들 뭐 많이 좋아하지 뭐 연습하는 시간이 길고.
Yeah, I can see that the preparation for the semifinals was really tough and a lot of struggles would be there. So how did you prepare for today's
일단
match?
저희가 계속 아까 1세트 같은 것만 봐도 저희가 계속 확실하지 않은 거를 좀 판단 좀 느린 것도 있었고 그런 부분을 계속 고치려고 했는데
So we just try not to make mistakes
그런 부분을 계속
because we did make a lot of mistakes in the game one, and I think that's why we lost the first set.
그런 부분을 생각했는데 그래도 좋은 상대를 꺾어서
And we also thought that KT Rolster is our rival. Maybe it's a counter team for us, but I think we overcame that kind of jinx today.
어떻습니까, 크레이머? 결승전에 대한 생각들 머릿속에는 많이 했었을 거 아니에요.
So Kramer, are you ready for the finals?
있다고 생각했죠.
네.
Well,
어때요?
yeah, I've
이제
always
경기
dreamed
난다는
about going into the finals.
시간 나진 않아요.
시간 나진 않아요 지금.
저도 결승전
And I can't really feel it. It's really coming. I can't really believe that I am going to the grand finals.
시즌 중에 싸우는 것들이 많았기 때문에 그런 생각이 드는데 사실 이 두 명의 선수가 오늘 MVP를 탔습니다만 오늘 아프리카가
So
굉장히 좋은 장면들을
these
많이
are the
보여줬습니다.
two main
오늘
characters of
사실
today's
그
match.
선수들이 지금 다 뒤에 나와
But
있거든요.
we also have the rest of the Afreeca Freecs squad here.
가서 야,
So let's have a talk with them also.
잠깐 뭐 얘기를 이렇게 온 김에 한번 좀 이야기 좀 나눠보도록 하겠습니다. 마이크 줘요. 주세요. 네.
So we need a microphone for the interview.
오늘 일단 스피릿 선수부터.
The Spirit,
쉽지 않았습니다. 험난했어요.
it
굉장히
was
끝난
a
그 끝난 다음에
difficult
좀
match for
고생이 많았을
you.
것 같은데 이제 결승전입니다. 어떻습니까?
But you are in the grand finals. How do you feel?
제가 1경기에 선발 출전해서 그렇게 좋은 모습을 못 보여드려서
Well,
되게 아쉬웠는데
I was underperforming as a starting member,
제뭐 파트너가 있으니까
but I have a
그래서
very
믿고 맘 편히 경기 봤던
strong
것 같고요.
partner, Mowgli, in my back, so I believed in him.
행복하고 결승전엔 제가
So I'm really happy that we are in the finals, and
역습해버리는 그런 모습 보여드리도록
I want to perform as good as Mowgli did today in the grand finals.
한 경기로 아무도 판단하지 않습니다. 그만큼 지금까지 아프리카 프릭스의 영향력, 좋은 영향을 미친 걸 알고 있을 테니까 이 부분 팬들이 충분히 인지하고 있을
So
것
I hope
같은데.
to see a great performance from you in the grand finals. And moving on to the Keen, how do you feel?
결승전 가고 싶다고 결승전 가면은
Kura always told me that he really wants to go to the finals, and the vibes in the grand final is so different. So I'm really looking forward to it.
결승전이란 어떤 거야? 막 이런 거 있잖아요. 일단 그 동화 속으로 지금 들어가는 순간이에요.
So you are now going into your dream career, the grand final in LCK.
일단 제가 생각했던 결승전은
While I dreamed of the finals, I always thought that I just always wanted to be the part of the players in the grand finals. So as Kramer said, I can't really believe that I am really in the finals right now.
새로운 이 세대의 킹존 미안합니다. 킹존이 기다리고 있는데 계속해서
So
비교가
Kingdom
많이
awaits
그
you.
탑 라이너들의 그 그림들이 있었잖아요.
And you know, a lot of people are comparing you and Khan in the top lane.
것 같은데 어떻습니까?
Are you ready for that?
최대한 열심히 해봐야죠.
I'll do my best in the finals.
좋은 그림으로 지금 칸은 다른 얘기를 하고 있을 텐데 최대한 그냥 즐길 거예요?
즐기는 게 첫 번째 목표입니다.
My first goal is to enjoy the finals, and my second goal is to win Kingdom Dragon X.
한번 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 그리고 야스오 만나볼까요?
Let's meet our Yasuo of today's series.
정말 짜릿함을 느꼈어요. 제가 사실 처음 배웠었던 게 두 개의 챔피언이 있었는데 절대 나오지 않는다는 얘기를 들었던 두 개의 챔피언이었어요.
Well, Yasuo and Karen were the champions that I was told that they will never be in the LCK, but you did locked in Yasuo, so how was today's match?
하긴 했는데 진짜 얼마 못했어요.
Well, actually, I didn't practice Yasuo a lot, so I wasn't really fully confident, but our coaching staff told me to play Yasuo in the mid lane. I was really nervous in the game, so I asked my coach to give me some massage before the games.
그 장면이 그 장면이었네요. 사실 그 완전히 준비된 카드라고 저희는 판단을 했었는데.
완전한 건 아니지만
So yeah, I have to say I was not fully ready, but it was a really good surprise pick.
심장이 콩닥콩닥 뛰길래
네.
때려달라 그래서.
My heart was beating so fast going into the game.
사실 크루 선수에게 기대하는 눈빛들이 굉장히 많아요. 지금 팬 여러분들께서도 궁금한 점이 굉장히 많을 것 같아요, 그렇죠?
And there are a lot of fans behind you, and they might be some questions for you.
일로 와봐요 그러면 물어보죠 뭐. 예, 뭐 굉장히 궁금한 점이 많을 것 같은데 뭐가 이렇게 궁금해요?
아 진짜 너무 너무 잘하셔가지고 야스오를
Why are you so good at
말이 안
Yasuo?
나오는데
I'm a little bit like speechless.
어떻게 그렇게 야스오를
So what are your tricks for playing Yasuo in the mid lane?
야스오를 뽑을 수 있는 약간 그게 궁금해요.
네, 굉장히 전문적인 질문이었죠. 야수를 선택하기까지는 수많은 과정들이 있습니다. 특히나 선택 그
So how were you able to lock in Yasuo in the mid lane, Kuro?
굉장히 전문가적인 입장에서 설명을 해주셨는데 어떤 느낌으로 선택을 했었나요?
일단 솔직히 좀 중요한 대회라.
네.
I mean, it's a really important match for us, so I really did not want to play Yasuo, but well, they forced me, our coaching staff, so I just wanna show my performance to SMAT with my Yasuo.
팬 여러분들과 함께 하는 것도 좋을 것 같아요. 약간 이쪽으로 이동해 볼까요? 오늘 어떻게 보면 그 팬 여러분들께서 계셨기 때문에
So let's have some time with the fans right behind you. They were so supportive throughout today's series.
이제 이 경기가 이렇게 나올 것 같은데 어떻습니까? 모글리도 어떻게 보면 그 팀 내에서 모글리 형이라는 얘기를 듣는다는 얘기가 있었어요.
네, 저보다 이제
And Mowgli, how was today's match?
동생들 사람이랑 같이 두 명이 있는데
네.
형 소리 듣죠.
So, well, there are younger guys in our team, but we are actually the leaders of the team. We got the most power in Afreeca Freecs.
뭐 중요한 포인트가 되는 그런 상황들이 있었을까요?
What was the most important thing in today's match?
감독님께서
After losing out the game 1,
준비하라고 하셨을 때 이제 구원투수 역할을 해야겠다.
my coach told me to get ready to sub in, so
잘 해낸 것 같아서 기분이 제일 좋고.
I was trying to be as calm, and I just wanted to show my performance to my fans.
날짜가 하필 또 제 생일이거든요.
브라보!
And the grand finals is on my birthday,
날이기도 하고 저희 팀 결승전이기도 하고.
so it's gonna be my birthday and the finals for our team. So I'm gonna be just fully prepared for the finals.
한번 말씀해 주셨는데 이거는 뭐 다 안 들을 수가 없으니까 쭉 지금 크레이머 선수부터
And let's hear from all the Afreeca Freecs squad how do they feel about going to the finals and their last words.
일단 쿠로 선수에게 계속 들었던 그런 거 말고 이제 직접 임하는 각오입니다. 그리고 이미 킹존은 워낙 이 결승전 내가 이길 것이라는
And
느낌과
you know, Kingzone is so confident about the grand finals. So is there anything you want to say to the Kingzone Dragon X?
일단 저희가 결승전에 가게 돼서 되게 좋고.
So first of all, I'm really happy.
저희가 좀 더 일을 갈고 닦고.
And for the Kingzone, we're gonna prepare really hard, and we're gonna show our performance to Kingzone, prove that we are stronger teams of LCK,
케어해주는 장을 보였던 서포터
and support Tusin.
저희도 약간 이제 결승전이 처음인데.
It's my first experience for the grand finals, so I just hope that I don't get too nervous, and we're gonna bring out some better pick and bans and traps for the grand finals.
4년 만에 가보는 이제 부산인데
Well, going back to Busan in 4 years,
들어보도록 하겠습니다.
I really hope to be the champion for LCK this time.
저도 결승전이 처음인데.
And this is also my first experience in the grand finals, and I do admit Kingzone is really strong, but I want to beat them this time.
자, 그리고 그 전에 이제 모글리 선수에게도 한마디 더 한번 들어보고 일단 쿠로 선수에게 마무리 짓게요. 모글리 선수.
결승 4월 14일 날 정말 준비 잘해서.
We're gonna be fully prepared for the grand finals,
3라이너인 칸 우리가 이겨줄게.
and I want to say, Ka, that we're gonna take down Kingzone Dragon X.
여러 가지 내용이 있죠. 사실 오늘 그
And Crow, this grand final will mean a lot to you.
아주 많은데 짧게 하겠습니다.
In short,
일단 오늘도 의도치 않게 쭉쭉 구락스 애들이 있는데.
well, I've been facing our former Rocks squad,
무조건 많을수록 트루 있거든요.
and the more old Rocks members is in a team, I think the weaker the team is. So Kingzone Dragon X with 3 old Rocks members, I think we're gonna be stronger.
만나본 선수 말고도 든든한 그 백업 멤버가 있었기 때문에 오늘 아프리카 프릭스가 있었던 것 같습니다. 과연 이 부산에서 이 선수가 어떤 장면을 만들어낼지 많은 기대
So
부탁드리겠습니다.
it was a great performance from Afreeca Freecs, and this will be the end of the interview with the whole squad of Afreeca Freecs. So I will hand it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji-sun, for the wonderful translation. And it was cool to get a word from everybody in there. But we're going to have to take a look at these highlights. This was the moment we kind of knew that KT had derped a little bit. And Afreeca just came in with their Yasuo, killed everybody. It was a clean ace at around 10 minutes. And that was really the nail in the coffin.
There was a winding road to close the game, but the roller coaster, unfortunately, has to end eventually. It doesn't get to Busan. It's a sole roller coaster, I guess, for the side of KT Rolster, and that means that Afreeca Freecs, and I love the fact that Spirit mentioned it. Spirit was there in the last Busan LCK final. Samsung Blue versus KT Rolster Arrows. He was playing in that match. He will go there to try to wrest back the LCK title. He could not win on that day. That was all about Kakao and Rookie on the side of KT Rolster Arrows on the day. On this day, Afreeca Freecs were too strong for KT. KT made too many mistakes and ended up being, as the theory suggested in the regular season, where KT continues to make 1 or 2 critical mistakes a game, and Afreeca spent a whole season punishing mistakes. Why should it change on this stage? And the answer is it doesn't. Afreeca are the better squad over the course of 4 games.
Certainly seems like they were the counters when you put it that way. It was funny to see Tushin actually Black Shield himself here. He's like, no, I got to do some work. It does help to get the kill on Tamada there, of course. And either way, at this point, Afreeca was so far ahead that GA works out for the Yasuo. Here, Kuro just comes back to life.
And the Winions were winning the game at the same time.
Good flash at the end there by Kramer. Really did his job towards the end as well.
They just need to extend the fight. That's all Afreeca needed to do. And that means they are the winners of Game 4 and the set. Ended up being a very comfortable victory as well. KT blew them away in game number 1, but Afreeca needed 1 game to adjust. And from there was too good for KT. That means we get the grand final that no one saw coming pre-season. Couple of people, Beyond on Twitter, myself, said Afreeca could be stronger with Keen and what he brings to the team. After Marin struggled in summer, we could not have known it was this much better. Afreeca makes it. They will play Kingzone. They will continue to prep, and I hope Kingzone have been using their off-season time well, because clearly the Afreeca Freecs have so far.
Yeah. You mentioned how Afreeca, they're so good at capitalizing on teams' mistakes. Kingzone, they don't really make mistakes. There are not a lot of mistakes to capitalize on there. But Afreeca play a really solid game, as do Kingzone. It's going to be the battle of skill and coaches going head-to-head. I think the draft is going to play a huge factor in who wins these games.
And it's also a final where you can rightly say the 2 best teams in Korea are playing each other.
Yes,
Kingzone and Afreeca. 1 and 2 in the regular season, 1 and 2 in the postseason. We'll see who's going to MSI. Again, easy to say Kingzone, just like you would have said about KT Rolster today. You would have been surprised on that one. And I think Afreeca Freecs will not be swept. We're going to 4 or 5 games. I think Kingzone are the big favorites, but Afreeca have already shown they can rewrite the script.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see as well that Afreeca don't really fall under pressure. Like Kingzone, they have all these huge superstar players that have been around the block. They all know how to handle it. But Afreeca as well, coming against KT Rolster, and they say, we're not scared. Mowgli comes in and plays a better game, arguably than Spirit, and looks really good doing so. So I feel like those guys should be really comfortable in Busan as well.
Trusting the squad is a big thing. As you say, Mowgli played the 3 victories. Will Mowgli start or will Spirit start? Who is the main jungler? Honestly, I don't think it matters to Spirit or Mowgli. They're just going to be happy to see their org go over to MSI. They're actually going to have some selection issues. I guess it'll have to be Mowgli going over to MSI. Yeah. Remember, it would only be a 6-man roster if they were to win.
Yeah, definitely some questions to be answered, but guys,
we'll
see you in 6 days in Busan. We'll see you there.
플레이오프 2라운드 아프리카 프릭스와 KT 롤스터의 경기는 아프리카 프릭스의 승리로 끝이 났습니다. 결국 이 결승전 남은 한 자리의 주인공이 확정이 됐는데요. 아쉽게도 KT 롤스터는 결승 진출에는 실패하게 됐습니다. 하지만 스플릿 내내 계속해서 노력하며 멋진 경기 보여준 KT 롤스터 선수들에게 격려의 박수를 보냅니다. 2018 LCK 스프링 스플릿, 이젠 정말 결승전만이 남아있는 순간입니다. 마지막까지 저희와 함께 해주시기를 부탁드리겠습니다. 그럼 저희는 4월 14일 토요일 오후 5시 결승전으로 다시 인사드리겠습니다. 함께해 주신 여러분 고맙습니다.